Well, here we are in 2022. Gas is over $4 a gallon almost all around the country, and everybody is talking about how did we get to this point. Well, we've had almost 50 years to tackle this problem. For those of us who are old enough to remember the oil embargo in 1973, we're still in a position where we depend on everybody else for our oil and our energy and even the Russians. So we're going to talk about those issues and other things in today's session. As I, reminded everybody, we're still trying to solve all the world's problems in our 30-minute sessions. Don't know if we're going to get it done today, but we'll keep trying. And I think we're going to get to the point to where we're going to probably be like the yearly flu shot. It's going to be something you have a choice of taking it every year, and there's going to be people who ain't going to take it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think we're going to get to that point too, but I just think as the science, at least as we were being told, tells you that it will looks like it's going to be less severe if you're vaccinated. To me, that's enough. By no means does it say you ain't going to get it. And I think that's what a lot of people, for whatever dumb reason, think that means you ain't going to get it. They ain't never said you ain't going to get it just because you take the vaccine.
They never said this was a cure.
Right.
They never said it. Yeah. But all you have to do is use a little logic, but they don't even do that because they don't even take the flu shot. The flu shot is different every year because of all the variants.
Exactly right.
And it's not been wiped out. People catch the flu, and some are sicker than others are, just like with this thing. And but you're not gonna. There ain't nothing guaranteed out there. The bottom line is, if the good Lord wants you, He's gonna get you anyway.
Yeah.
And no matter what vaccine or whatever you had, but people had a little bit more. I don't want to say sense, but back in the day when the flu thing was killing a bunch of people, everybody adhered to what they were saying. They took the shot, and they developed a tolerance to such that it ain't killing you as often, even though a lot of people die of flu shots. But I'm sure there's other variants that go with that. But at least they took it, and you got some sort of immunity to it. But now everybody just wants to be anti-vax. I don't know.
Well,
each his own.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it too. You got to make those own decisions for yourself. And if you decide you don't want to get a vaccine, if you decide you don't want to wear a seat belt, if you decide you want to smoke, if all those things, you make those decisions on your own. And just the way I look at it is, if something bad should happen, then don't come complaining. There's a case here. It's going to be interesting. There was a guy that had a wreck a couple of weeks ago, and his kids, it killed, I think, both the kids that were in the car. He made it out okay, but neither kid was buckled in. Threw him out of the car.
Wow.
And now he's having to deal with not only the loss of his two kids, but the prosecutor said he's going to prosecute him.
Yeah, that's negligence, man.
Yeah. I said, that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
You need to send a very stern message that if you don't follow the rules and something like this happens, you have to pay the price. I know you're grieving, but you're going to probably be grieving and serving some time too.
Yeah, exactly. Because it basically all it is defiance, man. It's amazing to me that all these same people that don't want to adhere to what's going on and are defiant about it are the same ones telling you that you shouldn't get an abortion. But you don't want me to tell you. You want to tell me what to do. It's what's that little term? My body, my choice, or whatever.
Right.
Well, that's the same way with a woman. Nobody's here is promoting abortions. At least I know I'm not. I'm anti-abortion, but I think a woman has a right to choose whatever route she wants to take with that. That ain't no swinging. Never mind. Ain't no man should be telling a woman what to do with her body. That just makes that's never made any sense to me. And I would not want anybody in my family to be in that position. But if that's the position that they chose, I'd support them. But hey,
Yeah, and I think every situation is different. You
sure,
can't base a general law or whatever it is on just one scenario. I mean, I think there are different scenarios. Not just the case of incest and rape and things of that nature. But I just think there's sometimes where a person just ain't ready to
yeah,
have a child.
that's
They're
right.
still growing up themselves and trying to do those kind of things. And is that going to put them in a position to just be one other stumbling block in their life? I think sometimes they're just you need to make decisions from that standpoint too.
Oh yeah,
And once again, that should be a decision that lady should be able to make on their own based on their current circumstances at the time. If they feel like they want to go through with it, then that's fine too. But I just think they need to make that decision. It shouldn't be a law that tells them, just like you say, it shouldn't be a law that tells you that you've got to go this long. And the one
hmm
here and in Tennessee was you got to they I think they rescinded that one though later on. But you have to look at a picture of the fetus on like an
hmm
ultrasound kind of thing. You have to look at the picture and before you can sign the paperwork that you want to go through with the abortion and stuff like that. Just
right,
sort of
right.
almost like a guilt trip kind of
A
thing.
guilt trip, right?
You know,
And it's basically torture. The person is already grappling with it, and now you want to do that. And it's funny though. It's always these old decrepit suckers that ain't gonna never get pregnant again is the ones that's always trying to push it. Uh, 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 and just forgot. I mean, the old white dudes are just who they are. But I mean, you got more women out here, older women that are pushing those kind of things too. That extreme thing. Well, you didn't have your kids, and for all we know, you probably had an abortion back in the day. But now you're gonna try to inflict that will upon on these girls today because number one, you're just jealous. All this you want to call yourself a Christian, but then you don't act like a Christian other than want to be anti-abortion. So again, getting in somebody else's life and business, it just trips me out. Uh, I can be I can not like it and I can be anti whatever, but I have no right to impose my views on anybody else.
yeah. When it comes to somebody and their bodies and things of that nature, I feel the same way. I mean, I think there's always a time for situation if someone has documented mental illnesses.
Yeah.
There may be situations where you have to take that into consideration when it comes to like gun ownership or
hmm
driving a car or things like that. I mean, I think in those kind of scenarios, yeah, you've got to go on the basis of the science of the medical determinations and say, well, yeah, we got somebody that's got known things, just like with seizures. I know when Tara had that one seizure a couple of years ago, there's laws in place that she couldn't drive for
Right.
was it 6 months or whatever it was. And I said, yeah, that's a safety issue from her standpoint and from the people out on the road.
hmm
You can't be driving down the street and all of a sudden have a seizure. That puts you and everybody around you in danger. So I think there's scenarios like that where yeah, maybe there is a a legal and a moral and ethical reason to impose a law to prevent stuff like that. But when it comes to things like like abortion stuff like that, I think it needs to be the person just like when I went down, I was telling you, I went to the urgent care clinic. The doctor said, I
hmm
want to get you some steroid. Do you want the shot or you want some pills? I'm like, doc, I'm tired of messing with this stuff. Give me a shot, kind of thing.
hmm
And I was fine with that until I was walking around in Kroger and that shot kicked in. I that shit gave me that shot in my, not in my butt, but in my hip,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
all of a sudden, man, my hip started tightening up. walking around, walking around in Kroger, like, man, maybe I should have took them pills. But it was like a delayed effect. I mean, I'd already left the clinic and gone into Kroger to get. I forgot what I went in to get something, and I started walking, and all of a sudden, man, I was like, oh man, get that little bit of an arch in your back, trying to
Yeah.
work it out, kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I was given a choice. I could make the choice of what I wanted to do, and I think that's the way it should be with anything else, whether it's abortion or medications or whatever. You should be able to tell me pros, tell me the good, the bad about everything, and then let me make a sound decision. As long as I'm in a sound mind and able to, yeah, I think you should have that choice.
That's right.
Yeah. So, uh, but anyway, I was telling you about giving me a call today because I said, me and Rodney seem like we have some of our best conversation before we actually start recording, not just to log in and we'll just start things because, like I say, we can go, we can go.
Mhm.
Yeah, your boy Pootie Poot over there acting a fool and stuff.
Mhm.
I don't know. The thing that I think about on that one is I know, America has always been trying to be the world's peacekeeper and the world's guardian, things of that nature. But I'm like, wait a minute. France, Italy, Spain, Germany, England is a whole damn lot closer to Russia than we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why ain't they saying no, 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 no? You ain't going. And I know they are involved in somewhat, but it seemed like all the eyes of the world are on us. And well, what are you going to do, United States? What are you going to
Yeah.
do, Joe Biden? What are you going to do? Kind of thing. I'm like, well, what about y'all? Y'all, right at their footsteps, and y'all worry about what we going to do.
That's right. That's the thing that trips me out about it. I mean, I don't even know why they call it NATO. They just should say United States because every time something happens, it's supposed to be a NATO response, and everybody's looking like they act like Biden has some responsibility for Ukraine. Yeah, we have an interest in that. We don't want the Soviet Union to spread, but it's not like they're our personal uh, 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 state or something. Yeah, Biden should be doing more. I'm like, you got a whole treaty of people, a whole alliance of people should be doing things. There should be even that the connotation they use, like Biden has went over there and got everybody on the same page. I'm like, that should be a mutual thing.
Yeah.
And but they always act like we're the ones, that's responsible for it. But I had kind of got myself away from all of this crap. I've been watching all kind of stuff on television instead of the news because I'm so just tired of all of this crap. And the thing from uh, uh, Trump and all that, and then that New York dude that just got in office. Now he's waffling on doing the prosecuting the not the civil but the criminal part of it now that he's taken office. And I'm like, man, I mean, from what they're saying, they got enough to do it now. He's talking about he don't know. I'm glad that sister's going ahead and go through with hers on the civil part. Well,
Right.
he needs to pay criminally, man. And then you got this commission on here. I ain't expecting no more than I had expectations for the Mueller thing, and that was a dud. And this January 6th commission ain't gonna do la de da. Because now you got here we was all up in arms about Merrick Garland not being put on the Supreme Court. Now he don't even want to do his job that he got, or he's not revealing it. I understand that they can't reveal what investigations they got going on, but this dude is something else, man. All they did was announce that he was going to be the uh, uh, head of the DOJ, and he ain't done shit since. So
And
it's
then
just
the longer it goes on, the lesser the impact is going to be.
that's right.
It's going to get to the point to where it's a distant bad memory. But unless, like you say, something very, very critical comes out of. I mean, they prosecuted a few people and that kind of thing. I know that, but I don't think it's going to have that big national impact that maybe
Oh,
people are thinking it's going to have. I mean, you never know. You never
well,
know. But I mean, I think
well, even look at the bias now. So it appears to me that, especially for white women, the extent of their prosecution is going to be 60 days in jail.
hmm
You trying to overthrow the dang government, and you get 60 days in jail. And that woman down in Dallas voted because she has a misunderstanding because she had a record and just tried to vote, and she got about 5 or 6 years in prison.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, man, what kind of crap is this? I, I'm getting so fed up with this stuff. Even looking here, I watched a little bit, especially late at night. That's about all that's on. I'm sitting here listening, and I have empathy for them, and I have uh, sympathy for them over there. Those people's way of life has changed so drastically. And the kids, what about the kids? They're treating the kids, and I'm thinking, well, how y'all treat kids over here? You know, shooting them and going on with these policemen and all that kind of stuff. But ain't no uproar about it, and it all stems from they had some African students over there uh, uh, in the place over there trying to get out because of the war. And they're getting pushed back and held back, talking about, no, let our women get on here first before y'all get on there. And they were on there complaining. If it wasn't for Joy telling the story and this other dude that's on MSNBC about how they're being pushed back and told, basically treated as second-class citizens.
Right.
And I'm like, man, it don't matter where you are. It's the same thing here. There's the United States, that little boy, two teenagers fighting. They put the brother down head first, knee in the back, or knee in the neck. The other little white kid sitting on the couch. I'm like, it's the same old story. But yet you'll see we'll be the first one sitting out there talking about how bad it is. Oh, the Ukraine is all that. Look how they'll treat you if you was over there. You'd be getting pushed back in the line. Well, you used to it because that's what happens here. So I don't know. I'm getting totally discouraged with all of this mess.
Well, yeah. I mean, and there's always those underlying factors and things that are going on, and the media just brings forth the things that they want to. I'm the same way with you. I mean, I think we have to be mindful of things that are going on in the world. It sort of brings up that question of well, what if we lost to the Ukraine, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there's been some ulterior motives with some wars and things, especially the Gulf War. I still say most of that was about oil. There's a little bit of this war that's about oil also,
Mm-hmm.
but I just wonder how many people really knows how much oil we import from Russia. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think there's even people that knows that we're importing raw oil and gas from Russia already,
and Europe.
Yeah. And I think that's some of the problem. They get so dependent. I was talking to who was I talking to? Oh yeah, the guy that's a financial guy. I was talking to him the other day. I said the thing that really bothers me is the fact that we've had since really 1976 to work on alternatives, and I know the technology back then for electric vehicles and things like that are nowhere near at the level it is today.
Mm-hmm.
I said, but if we had a sort of built from that and given ourselves these now almost 50 years to get away from being so dependent, even though I know it's big business, and I know it's not that easy. I mean, I'm not that naive. I said, but I just think we should be much further along now than we are now to say that we're still dependent on foreign countries for our energy and things of that nature. But that's sort of what we've got ourselves in, and that's what we got to deal with. But yeah, there's more underlying factors, and just what meets the eye and that kind of stuff doesn't really ever come out hardly to the general public.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they're not interested enough to inquire. It's the information is there. You ain't gonna get all the intricate portions of it, but you can get the gist of it if you just pay attention. Just the fact that these lobbyists over here buy up everything and to get their way. The simple fixes, which the majority of the infrastructure don't want done anyway, but is to get that dark money out of the way, because basically all it is just extortion.
Mm-hmm.
The little guy was next door doing something to the house over there, and I was like, hey, I just need to check to make sure 'cause I guess the house was sinking a little bit or something, because it sits lower than mine. But anyway, they had those power lifts where you lift up the foundation and solidify it. And I was like, hey man, I started talking to him about what are the indications. I already knew about the doors not closing good and all that, but just and the cracks, and all that, if you find it. But I was just asking him about it. Anyway, we got to talk, and he said, yeah, this is he's talking about the housing market, how the houses have gone up so and all that. And he's like, yeah, that's due to inflation, right? I said, well, that's a kind of a broad statement. I said, but inflation is due to the overpricing of goods all across the board. It ain't just one thing. I said, we always have inflation. The demand is going to determine what they can charge you. Some call it gouging, like around here. When we have these weather storms and these dudes come in and gouge you out of, it's about supply and demand. If the market is willing to take it, they're gonna charge it. But his whole thing was wrapped up in being inflation is the one buzzword that's gonna cover it all. And I guarantee you, he didn't know what inflation was. It's right along with like these politicians are always hollering about a deficit. Hell, everybody has a deficit. They act like it's just a cruel thing. If you buying a house, you're in a deficit. I don't care what you buy a car that you don't pay it off, you're in a deficit.
Yeah.
So it ain't the cure all and that's the reason right there for everything. It's a little bit of everything. Like I've always said, people always want to talk about democracies and that's socialism and all that. A healthy government has a little bit of each. And we got it. They just ain't got sense enough to see it. Social Security is socialism.
Medicare is socialism. Medicaid is socialism.
Yes. and the part of capitalism is, you can go in there and capitalize on people's shortcomings and mistakes and make your money at the expense of other people. Now, there's a good capitalism in my mind where you go out there and you work hard and you earn your money. You should keep your money. Yeah. I can go with that. But then you got dictatorship. They tell your ass you're going to pay taxes even when you die. So we got a healthy form of all of it. But they want to, just hone in on one. Oh, that's socialism. Like, that's a bad thing. Hell, half of Europe, if not all of Europe, operates on socialism. So it's just ridiculous. But,
Well, that's just like you talking about the inflation and the housing market. With that, if his theory were true, houses should never appreciate when inflation is low.
Exactly.
And housing has been appreciating almost everywhere forever. I mean, they're a known commodity that goes up. Now I know the market is different now, and people talking about it's hard for a first term home owner to get into the market and things of that nature. But that's really based on the people. I know my agent that we had when we bought this house a number of years ago. She said, everybody talks about setting the market. She said the main thing that the owner of the real estate agent always told us. He said the market sets the market. You don't set the market. I don't set the market. The market sets the market. And sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down, sometimes it depends on demand and supply and demand. Of course, if you don't have a lot of it, usually the price goes up because of the need for it. But she said, the market sets the market. She says, it always bothers me when people talk about this sets the market and that sets the market and that kind of thing. No, the market sets the market. And that's the way it is around here with with home values and things of that nature. But there's just only so much you can do. I mean, I look at the stock market every day, and it's been going down, and my money has been going down right along with it.
Right.
But as I tell Marion all the time, I said, what sort of tempers my fears now is the fact that we wouldn't even be here if it hadn't been for the market. I said, that's the thing that I always go back to. I said, we could have stashed all our money in a savings account and we would have had, quite a decent amount in a savings account, earning about $2 or $3 a year.
Right.
I said, but we sort of got where we are now because we knew there was a better way. I said, I don't like the fact that, when you do lose money, you never like that. But I always sort of try to rein myself in with the fact that would you even be anywhere close to here if you hadn't done that? And the answer is overwhelming no.
Yeah, exactly. And plus, you've been around long enough. it may be down for a while, but it's gonna come back.
Well, yeah, and that's what I keep telling. I said we went through the corrections back in what '02. Well, I guess it was '97, and they had another one in
Yeah,
'02, and they had
yeah.
another one. They had like a couple since then. And I said,
Mhm.
yeah, I said I just think that's the best way I think of to get it back is to stay in the market. And we've got a hedge. I mean, we've got some money in some some in cash, and we got some money in bonds and things like that, even though bonds ain't the greatest thing either
Right.
right now. But I said, yeah,
Mhm.
I said, we've got some things to help us along the way. But like I said, you gotta keep remembering where you came from.
There you
How did
go.
you get here?
There you
And
go.
if you look at how you got here, you know that's exactly how you got here. You invested in those stocks and things of that nature. So yeah,
Plus,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
plus it's long term. It ain't no, you know, like half the people get 401ks because they treat it like a savings account. Uh, every time something come up, oh, I get something out of my 401k. And
Yeah, and as we discussed too, I said my mindset would be a whole lot different if that money was what we were living on day to day.
right
I said it
there you
would be
go.
totally different. I'd say no, we can't take a chance of losing
Hmm.
because that's our income, that's our bread on the table, that's our gas in the car, that's our mortgage. All of that is right there in that money. And I said I would have probably put the vast majority in something very safe, a money
Hmm.
market account or something like that, and then
Hmm.
maybe let a little less of that ride just to see what happens. I said, but we're very fortunate in the fact that our day to day life is being paid for by our retirement incomes.
Hmm.
And I said that makes a little bit difference when you ain't got to look up, say, oh man, I got to pay the mortgage out of that, I got to pay whatever out of that. I said, so we're in a little bit different position than some people who that is their retirement income, is those
Exactly.
those
Exactly.
investments they got and stuff. And I said we've been very fortunate that we've sort of chosen a little bit different path to go down, and we're okay. I said, and if the government goes broke, I said we're all in trouble anyway. So I said
You
it
better
doesn't
know it.
matter. It doesn't matter. If those retirement uh, incomes go away, we're all in trouble. So it don't
Yes,
matter.
indeed. Yes, indeed. And I'm gonna head right down to the institution and get as much as I can get in my mattress. God dang it! that's that's why I keep a savings account, because if it hits the fan, I know a portion that I'm gonna get.
Yep.
If
Yep.
they got it in there, I'm gonna get that at least.
Yep, that's the way we look at it too. We
But,
we got our little sort of emergency account, and
buddy.
then I told her the other day though. I said, it did get a little scary. Right after this Ukraine stuff went off, I went down to the bank, and I went through the ATM. It was a big line of people going on. It was a Friday of all time. I don't know why I went down on a Friday. Went through the ATM, got to the ATM, put all my information out, and came up with this message. We're currently not dispensing cash. And
Man,
I'm like, what? I was
yeah.
like, at first I said, well, you better go inside and get some money, But I don't know if the machine was out of money or whether it was some kind of computer glitch or whatever. I went back. That was in the afternoon. I went back later that evening, and it was giving out money and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that ain't something you want to see when you got these
I'm
wars
telling you.
going on, all that kind of stuff. The machines say we ain't giving out cash. I'm like, well, what the hell are you here for then?
That's
I
it.
don't need a soda. I need money.
Hell, I was wondering what Putin. He's so desperate now. Like hell, he probably do some kind of cyber shit on us.
Well, they said they were going to be doing some stuff like that,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't put it. I mean, they've already done that. I mean, they've held that meat package plant hostage, with that
Yeah.
ransomware and stuff. So
Yeah.
they've always been doing that, and they talk about they have some abilities to get into
Hmm.
the power grid and all that kind of stuff. And I said, well, it's probably at the point now to where if they can do it, they already know how to do it.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
just either haven't been able to because of the security people have in place or
mhm.
whatever. So I said, yeah,
Man,
once
they done
again,
had so many practice runs, just like down there in Texas with that grid
yeah.
last year. They already know. They already know,
So
man.
I like, but I'm like you too. You if you look at the news or you go online and look at some of the news websites and stuff, The vast majority of it is sort of doom and gloom kind of thing, and the vast majority is after the fact stuff. I mean, you may see people who are trying to predict things. Matter of fact, I read a couple of articles a couple of weeks ago when the market was starting to go down some. There was one guy who was saying, "Yeah, it's going to go down. It's going to be a crash. You need to move monies around and get out of stocks, all this kind of stuff." And on the money page, on the very same page, was a guy like, it ain't going nowhere. You're okay. Everything gonna be
Yeah.
good, And I'm like, so how are you supposed to make a informed decision when the information are exact opposites of each other?
Oh yeah, man. That's how they got us strung out, man.
Well, our time is up for today. Once again, we didn't solve all the world's problems. We talked about them. We'll keep at it, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get there one day. Thank y'all for listening in. Join us next time on Old Fools Talking Old School. Peace.